But she's now standing by with Prashant Roya of SR Group in Davos. Let's just listen in live.
Well, I am not
Hello and welcome to Your World at 10, coming to you live from Davos 2011. We've been talking to Indian business leaders and global business leaders through the day today, and I have with me now Prashant Roya of the SR Group, an interview that's been 3 years pending. Prashant, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Your business is a global-facing business, of course, especially with the LSE listing that you had last year. So give me a sense of what you're getting or picking up from other global business leaders here in terms of business confidence for the course of the next 12 months.
Yeah, I think clearly the mood here this year seems to be a lot better than what it was last year.
Sure.
The general sense of the developing world is much better. The US seems to be coming out rather slowly, but coming out, and a large part of the debt problems which we faced in Europe, and especially over Spain and Portugal and Ireland, I think seem to be now contained. And
okay.
So the general feeling is that these economies seem to be okay. Mm-hmm. And of course the emerging markets, whether it's China or whether it's India or whether it's Asia, they continue to grow at pretty much at levels which were there prior to the crisis.
Right.
So I think overall the mood is much better, and it looks like we'll have a good year ahead of us.
Okay, what does that mean for the SR Group? Because most of your businesses are India-centric, even if you are listed overseas, and some of them have global exposure, for instance, shipping, or are connected through their input material exposure to the global economy. The fact that we're seeing a year of relative stability in comparison to last year, but yet there is uncertainty, what does it mean for your ability to expand globally, if at all that's on the charts?
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, most of our business is in India.
Yes.
And the one good thing going for us, all of us, is that the Indian market still remains pretty robust.
Yes.
The demand story in India is still very strong. And most of our facilities, whether it's the steel business or the oil and gas business or the power business, are primarily focused at meeting that domestic demand. The overall manufacturing base in India is largely focused on meeting the demands of the domestic
market.
Yes, right?
Absolutely.
So that story is still very good. I think the concern, if any, is clearly going to be around inflation coming, which is basically being driven by raw material prices, and we've seen a big pickup in crude oil in the last few months. We are seeing big pickup in iron ore and coal and in all commodities.
All commodities have risen.
And that's going to have, over the next 1 year, clearly some inflationary pressure in India. And as we all know, India is quite sensitive to
and
pricing.
we've just seen the rate hikes as of yesterday.
Yes. So I think if you were to look at overall demand side, looks okay. But from an inflation perspective, clearly something which we should be worried about.
Okay, let me get your commodity outlook, since you run a steel business, a shipping business. What do you make of the commodity inflation that we've seen over the course of the last 12 months? How is it going to continue at those levels? Do you see it petering off at some point in this year, or in fact moving up?
Well, the commodity uptick is primarily because of the world demand for these products, this increasing. And if you look at the GDP growth in China or India or Middle East, that's not slowing down immediately. And the supply side is not coming on as fast as what we are all hoping to. And the larger issue is that many of the major commodities are in very few hands.
Right.
Whether it's oil, which are in the OPEC, or whether it's coal, or whether it's iron ore, again in a few hands.
And we have outages in Australia, which is also impacting prices in that sense.
So I think overall, there might be some correction in the prices, but overall, I think overall commodity prices are still going to remain strong.
At least for
in this
2011.
year. Absolutely.
Okay. Did you acquire that Shell refinery that everyone's expecting you to?
No, it's...
I'll put it as directly as I can.
We are still in discussion. I think we will have a final decision by end of February.
What's driving that part of the expansion? Why are you looking at buying a refinery outside of India if your core demand market is within India?
Yeah, we look at our business in two parts. One part is clearly, the major part is meeting the requirements of the domestic consumer in India. And most of our facilities are designed around that. And the second part is to get access to developed markets. We did that in our steel business when we bought the Algoma steel plant in Canada. We got access to that market. and we are looking at this facility which Shell is
So
divesting.
what kind of access
So it
do you
gives
think
you
it
it gives you about give you access to the UK market, which is also to some extent short of diesel products, which are being imported.
But is this the year you want to actually purchase in the UK, considering that there is several clouds of uncertainty over the recovery in the UK?
Well, as I said, it's still not a decision made. It's a discussion which is on with Shell, and a final clarity on the subject will be by the end of February.
Will it be an absolute buyout, or are you looking at a partnership of some sort, or?
I'd rather not go into the details right now.
Because you are going through a pretty aggressive expansion of your own refinery back home in India.
Yeah, our own refinery is currently at about 14 million tons.
Yes.
And by July or August of this year, we will complete our expansion to 18 million tons. So that's pretty much on track.
Okay, so what kind of outlay will this sort of acquisition require in terms of funding? And give me a sense of how you see the fundraising environment, not just in India with the rate hikes, but across the world, because you are raising money now internationally.
Well, let me just say, overall, internationally, we have done a couple of transactions. We did the listing of our SR Energy on the London Stock Exchange, where we raised close to $2 billion. And recently, we did a convertible bond transaction for about $500 million. So we think that for the right investment and for the right projects, financing, at least for us, is not so much of a concern.
At affordable cost? What kind of response
cost.
did you get for your $500 million bond issue?
We thought the terms were favorable.
What's the
we
cost
raised it
that
about
it's working
4%, 4.25% for as compared to closer to 11-12%, which is what we are paying in India.
Right.
And the domestic interest rates are only going up, as we have just.
So where is the money from that bond issue going to be invested? Is it for your refinery expansion? Is it for power projects?
No, it's there's a various uses which we have identified.
Is it an M&A kitty?
Well, we've got a big capital expenditure program on in SR Energy with the expansion of our refinery, with the building of the power plants which we're doing. We're currently investing in close to 10,000 megawatts of power which we're building. So yeah, it's part of the overall requirement of the company.
So you won't tell me if it's part of an M&A kitty that you're looking at?
No, I think we've got various options, and till the final determination is made on where the capital is going to be deployed, there's no sense speculating.
So I have to ask you a question about Vodafone. For some reason, whether it's Hutch or it's Vodafone, you keep having trouble with your joint venture partner. What is this latest bout of exchanging allegations all about?
I think first of all, we enjoy a very good relationship with Vodafone.
That's not true, because you're like constantly fighting.
No, I don't think
They've complained about you in a letter to SEBI. How is that a reflection of a good relationship?
I think all I'd like to say on this subject at this stage, as you know, there's a lot which has been reported already on the media, is that we have a fairly significant investment of 33%, and we have a put which is coming due in May or June, later this year in May. And what we are really looking for is in an open and transparent way, a fair determination of what is the value of that investment, and based on which we will then exercise our decision.
Why are you looking for a fair determination of what is that value of that stake? Because you already, to some degree, hypothecated the stake that you had earlier. You were able to raise some money against the stake that you have. Why are you looking for a fair determination of that stake?
Because that's the basis of which we will make up our mind whether we would like to divest or we would like to hold on to our shares.
So you're expecting it to establish some sort of floor,
a fair value for the company,
price for your stake,
Absolutely.
And basis of which you're going to then decide on your put option in May?
Exactly.
Is that how it's going to work?
That's broadly what.
So you are actually thinking of exercising your put option in May?
No, as I said, we are going through this process now, and once there is a fair determination of the value, we will make up our mind in May. That's the time when we are required to make up our mind.
Is it also to push Vodafone India Vodafone SR towards an IPO of some sorts?
No, I don't think so. I think principally we do believe that the telecom sector in India has still got a lot of growth and a lot of value going forward. And we've stayed invested in this business since 1995. And so we've really believed in this story. And as I said, so we want to arrive at that fair market value, taking into account what we see as the market going forward.
What do you make of all the flux that we've seen in telecom policy, and with the minister having to be moved out and the allegations against the 2G licenses being given out? What do you make of all of that controversy within the telecom sector and the impact it will have on growth in the business?
Well, I don't want to go too much into the controversy. There's already a lot which has been said in the last few months. I think we've had our papers full of that. But I think in terms of the market, we've seen a very successful 3G auction process. We are going to see 3G launch very soon, which is going to be followed by 4G, WiMAX going forward. And so, we clearly believe in the story, in the telecom story going forward.
Okay, I want to wrap up with a couple of questions on the future for the SR Group. I know a few years ago when I was talking to Shashi Ruia, he told me that the group was a little disillusioned with the public listing aspect of it, and that they would have preferred to take several of their companies private, some of which you already had done at that point in time. But since then we saw a listing on the LSE, and so I'm curious to know whether you feel that all the legacy issues of the late 90s have now been wiped out, and what that means for your expansion into various other businesses besides the core ones that you're already pursuing.
I think the legacy is way behind us. That was in the late 90s, early 2000. I think from 2002, the group has had a pretty good run. And we put together a fairly aggressive expansion program which we have implemented over the last 2 or 3 years. On the capital markets, I'm not sure where you picked up this statement from.
Shashi Ruia told me that he said it's easier to be private in India than public based on the experiences you all had in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, we clearly had some difficult experience in late 90s, early 2000, but I think the group has now been fully consolidated, and we are absolutely not shy of the capital markets. We've done I think the listing which we did in London should be a fair testimony for our ability to access the capital markets and for our Indian companies to access international capital markets.
Any businesses that look interesting for you to diversify into in the course of this year and next?
No, I think our primary, as you know, we are fairly diversified.
Yes, already. Yes.
We are in 7 sectors.
So maybe I should rephrase that. Any restructuring of the group that would mean new businesses that you want to enter in, or pruning of old ones?
No, I think we are staying very much focused and committed to the sectors which we are in. However, what we are doing within the sectors is a full value integration, both from a raw material perspective and from a value-added perspective. So you will see more growth in the sectors, and you will see more integration, more investment in integration, including at the raw material end.
Okay.
And that's primarily the focus of the group going forward.
Okay, so how attractive is India, and this is the question I've asked every single business leader I've spoken to since morning, is India as an investment destination in the course of this year, considering all the corruption issues, the governance issues that we've been facing over the last 6-8 months, and considering that other parts of the world are looking more interesting right now?
Look, we've clearly had some issues, which has been a dampener to the investment climate, if you will. Having said that, the fact is that if you look at the basic numbers in the economy, that hasn't really been affected at all. The overall, as I said earlier, the overall demand remains strong. Our GDP growth remains strong. In most of the sectors which we are seeing double-digit growth. And the good part about it is that India is still at a fairly early stage of our development. And if you look at on any index, we are about a 4th or a 5th of what China is consuming today. And if you think about that, we would like to consume what China is consuming even in the next 20 years, then we have a significant amount of growth in front of us. And I think most international companies who want to participate in that growth, well, they have to come to India.
Challenge, but an opportunity. It took us 3 years to get this one. I hope it doesn't take us 3 more years to get the next one.
Thank you,
Prashant, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
Menika Doshi over there speaking to Prashant Ruia from the SR Group on Vodafone SR relationship, the telecom sector, and of course SR's expansion plans over there for you. We're taking a quick break now on Your World at 10, but more stuff coming up on the other side. Stay with us.